people from other countries who did arrive, and this COVID or variant, it's within the country. But if we remain keeping our mask, put them correctly, washing our hands, keeping the distance, stay in at home, stay in house, don't attend mass meeting. I feel pity about that, whether as politicians we are going to do that, because local government is at the door. I'm seeing my deputy minister. Welcome, deputy minister. Very beautiful, Nonzaba. Day by day, becoming younger and younger. I don't know what's going on. With those words, honorable members, deputy minister, and everybody who's here, I'm just putting this agenda in front of the honorable members. Honorable members, this is agenda. I'll ask, it must be adopted if you don't have anything to put on.
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable.
Good morning. Good morning, colleagues from DG and everybody. Protocol observed. I move for the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, Honorable Msongo. Any second?
Chairperson, I second.
Thank you, Honorable Van Dijk. Honorable members, the agenda is adopted. We are number 3. Apologies. Zone. Jabu Zone. Oh, Solek is there. Apologies, Solek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an apology from Mr. CBC, who has a bereavement in his family. We also have an apology from Inkosi Ulutuli, who is attending another committee meeting. And we also have an apology from the minister, who is attending a cabinet meeting. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Any other apology which is not with our administrators? None. These are apologies. These are apologies from the side of the committee. We condolences to Honorable CBC. We're not yet sure the bereavement who passed on, but we're sending our condolences to himself and the family as a committee. Let me go to our own visitors of today to check whether do they have apologies. As President here.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson. Let me greet firstly the Deputy Minister and yourself, DG, and all the members of the Portfolio Committee. Good morning to you. The Board President of SASCOC, Mr. Hendricks, he's trying to connect with us. He's having some challenges. I just spoke to him 30 seconds ago. He's asking just to give him an opportunity to reboot and rejoin. In the interim, I want to record 3 apologies from the SASCOC board. It's Mr. Anand Singh. He's unable to attend. Debbie Alexandra and board member Ilham is also unable to attend. On the platform at this point in time is board member Kim Popel, and the others will join. And from the management side, it's myself, Ravi Kavanda, the acting CEO, and my colleague, Ms. Patience Shikwambana, the Chief Operations Officer. I am just checking the participants to see if Mr. Hendricks has managed to join yet. But that's the record of the register from SASCOC, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Acting CEO. We have been acting, man. We want you to say I'm a CEO now. With those as Honorable the Deputy Minister, can you take us through your team is going to I'm giving the powers to you for your team only. DM, mute. Yes.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for those powers that you've given to me. Good morning to the members of the Portfolio Committee and the DG leading the delegation of officials, SASCOC, with the President still trying to log in, and with the officials from that side as well. I'm not going to waste your time, Chair. You know, I'm very compliant person. I'm going to allow the DG, who's leading the officials, to come in and set the tone, and then we will hand over to SASCOC. What then I will do after the members and the discussion, I will then come just before the Chair closes the meeting. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, DM. Thank you. DG, you've given powers.
Chairperson?
Honorable.
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Mhlomi.
Chair, we did not note and accept the apologies. And I want to raise a concern with the minister. And I think it must be noted. The minister must account to this committee, and several times he's not here. And I don't think it's advisable for us just to let it and keep quiet about it, because he must account to this committee. I think you must note that we don't accept his apology, because he must account. Now and then we have the DG, the deputy minister here, but the minister is not here. And there are issues that's cleared as the agenda states clear, but now that decision that he took, but he's not here even to account to us. Nonetheless, I want you to note our dissent. We don't accept his apology.
I've seen another hand. Honorable members, I did say I'm presenting the apologies, but I'm happy now because I didn't want anyone, I didn't want to say, do you accept apologies? I've said I'm presenting the apologies. So it's okay, Honorable Mhlongo. We noted that. I'm seeing the hand of SASCOC Acting CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I offer my sincere apologies. I neglected to record 3 more apologies from board members of SASCOC. That's Luandile Simelane, Mr. Kundisa Ngwenya, and Ms. Muki Grobelar. They have also tendered apologies, which I had neglected to mention when I introduced the apologies at the first bite. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, CEO. Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to everyone. Deputy Minister, I think the apology of a minister as a portfolio committee, I think maybe our staff members, they also need to check with him in some other times, the availability. Maybe we can try and change the time so that we can also accommodate minister. But I accept the apologies. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Malingozi. Thank you, Honorable Maluman.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Chair, I would love Chair to ask the acting leader of SASCOC, how many were they supposed to come here? Because it looks like there are about 6 of them who will not make it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. You know, it's oh, okay. Honorable CEO Rovenda.
Thank you, Chairperson. We are 12 in total, and 6 of them were not available. The others are joining. In the interim, we've got. I did mention our president is having some technical challenges in joining, but we do have the chair of our Athletes Commission, Mr. Kotso Mokoena here. We have Kim Popel here. They are board members, and I unable to guide on the challenges that the others are experiencing, but my board member Kim Popel has informed me that they are trying to connect as well. I will ask Kim, if you may please confirm.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I've just been making contact with everyone just to see if there's what issues they're having, to see if we can help. And I see our president has now joined us. He's just joined us. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. Let me take this opportunity to say that I've seen the president now has joined. We're about to get DG to talk to us. DG. Morning, President.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and apologies for being late.
Is it Rebecca made you to be late? No network.
Apologies, Chair. Yes, it was a
Okay.
network issue, and I apologize.
No, I've accepted, President. DG. I kulula mabeke. Yes, DG.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
And some.
And the honorable members, the honorable minister, the president of SASCOC and the board of SASCOC, the acting CEO of SASCOC, as well as my colleagues. Honorable Chairperson, just to indicate that in the meeting from the department, we have got Mr. Simpiwe Nube, who is the chief director, as well as Mr. Lebukhang Mkhwere, currently acting at DDG in place of DDG Khan, who is on leave. And then I've got Lulama, and then we also have got in our midst Usivuyile from the DM's office. So those are the people present here. And I request that Simpiwe, you can just share that overview. Honorable Chairperson, the overview is just saying that I will cover the recap on SASCOC mandate, departmental support to SASCOC, conditions for provisioning of funding, as well as SASCOC's indicative MTF allocations from the department, and then the Federation's governance matters, progress on the implementation of Zulman's recommendations. Briefly to recap, Honorable Chair, is just to say that our sport in this country is governed by the National Sport and Recreation Act. Therefore, then Section 2, subsection 1 envisages a national confederation to be established. Therefore, then South African Sports Confederation and Olympic Committee is one such sports confederation as envisaged in our Act. What is their mandate? And the Act envisages that the Sports Confederation is recognized by the minister in terms of Section 2 and is a representative of sport or recreation bodies, including Olympic and National Federation. Coordinating macro body for promotion and development of high performance sport in the Republic. These are core envisaged mandates that SASCOC has in terms of the Act. Now, department then, based on the fact that they have by the Act established SASCOC in that context of recognizing SASCOC as a body governing sport in the country, what we then have is that we provide support in line with Section 3A of the National Sport and Recreation Act. This enjoins the Confederation to enter into a service level agreement with the department in respect of functions assigned to the Confederation by the Act. Honorable Chair and members, in the financial year 2020-21, department did provide financial support in the following manner: an amount of 11.335 million as per MTF earmarked funds to SASCOC. Of this amount, just to be quick, Chair, to indicate that 4 million of this money was set aside as earmarked for preparing and delivering Team CSA at the African Union Sport Council Region 5 Games, which are to be held in December 2021. In addition, a 7.403.10253 cents a million rand was then also availed to SASCOC for preparation and delivery of Olympic and Paralympic Team SA. What conditions do we expect of SASCOC as we provide the funding and enter into the SLA? This is in considering the budget cuts as well as constrained financial environment that we find ourselves in. And therefore, then it's important that there is ability to stretch the rent and make sure that we do the best we can to get maximum return. In order then to ensure this is realized, the funds provided to support the preparation of athletes and delivery of Team SA at the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games has to make changes to funding conditions. Among them is that the support provided by the department in terms of preparation and delivery of the Tokyo 2020 South African Olympic and Paralympic team is specifically earmarked for athletes and teams ranked top 10 in the world and those with a proven track record of medaling at major international events. This is to avoid people who just go there for the sake of exposure or experience. The issue is that we are talking about being a winning nation, and we are hoping that SASCOC prepares this team. Uppermost in their mind is to take the best to represent the country there, with a clear hope of the medals that we are likely to have as a country. This is to ensure maximum return then on the limited resources we have. SASCOC is to present a list of athletes and teams which meet this funding condition to the department, and department appreciates and understands that performance of athletes and teams is dynamic. Therefore, the list provided by SASCOC may be varied from time to time. The outline of our budget over the next 3 years is as follows: 11.7 for 2021-2022. For 2022-2023, it's 12. And then for 2023-2024 is 12,055,000 rands. So these are the monies that we have earmarked to continue to provide support to SASCOC as a department. Non-financial support that is required by SASCOC. One of the key things was that SASCOC wrote to us after receiving a letter in relation to the Russian Olympic Committee offer in collaboration with ANOC, where the government was offering Sputnik as a vaccine for the athletes and the Olympic family members representing the African continent. South Africa then was part of that received this request. We have forwarded this request then to Department of Health. Unfortunately, it has taken time for them to come back to us, but we have engaged with them, and there is alternatives that we are looking at. We are waiting for them. We approached the DDG. We are sitting with that net joints to help us really fast track this. The alternative is that we are looking at that if Sputnik is not allowed in terms of being sanctioned by the Medical Association of South Africa, then what will it mean is to then our team gets to be part and parcel of the prioritized people to be taken through either Pfizer and BioNTech, who have committed to donate doses of their vaccines to the Olympic and Paralympic Games participants around the world. Unfortunately, Pfizer has arrived in the country. So that is the attempt we are trying to do now, because we understand some of the athletes might need to leave early. Further delay in getting them there would be a problem. So then Department of Health had indicated that they would come back to us in terms of once a decision is made to see that they get registered on those who are priority list, and they will communicate to us if that is a decision that has been made. Also, we await guidance in that regard. Now, on the issue of then getting to slide 7, if you can. Governance matters. When we talk of governance, I think we all in this country talk about good and clean governance, sound and stable, best governance that you can have in terms of our federations. And the SASCOC is no exception in this regard. And SASCOC, however, has been working with the department in resolving problems of federations experiencing these governance challenges and administrative difficulties. In working together with them, then the focus federations that really have been facing this are namely Basketball South Africa, Chess South Africa, and South African National Amateur Boxing Organization, SANAM. What's the challenge with Chess SA that we are trying to work with SASCOC in order to resolve these governance issues, that after engaging the parties in dispute and having not reached any resolution, SASCOC has been then charged with the responsibility of convening the Chess SA Council and initiates a process leading up to the special general meeting wherein new executive would be elected. Basketball, with the same issue that we have a steering committee has been established to guide the process of review and amending Basketball SA Constitution, and then overseeing the establishment of provincial structures leading up to the elective annual general meeting. I'm sure the CEO will talk to the details on the SANABO. It's an interim committee has been managed to revive the administrative systems, and the details will be, I'm sure, outlined possibly by the acting CEO. Complaints that had to be referred to SASCOC, among others, include that the complaints on ice hockey, the motorsport, the cycling, were referred to SASCOC for further handling and conclusion. SASCOC would then submit a report to the department upon conclusion of those matters. Now, the issue of Zulman's recommendations, Minister, I think I don't know how many times he has interacted with SASCOC on this matter, and from the time of the merging of the departments, it's been a number of engagements. This inquiry, as we know, just to recap, instituted in 2017, October by Minister Massey. However, a report then there was a change of guard, was handed over to Minister Pfizer in December 2018, which then the Minister Pfizer appointed a facilitator to assist SASCOC in implementing the recommendations in 2019. And the roadmap was then developed in of implementing these recommendations end of May 2019. Minister then appointed a compliance task team in August 2019 to unpack roadmap towards completion of implementation of this. I'm sure the details will come from the CEO in terms of where they are as we speak. And therefore then, according to the information we have up to date, is that 31 completed recommendations as well as 11 work in progress, totaling to 42. And the outstanding 11 recommendations will include the laws relating to the amendment of the Act, as well as the appointment of senior staff and those being handled by the new board, including the SS Griffin and Pullinger report. Finally, Chairperson, it's just the presentation of the final report is expected end of this month. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. This time now, let me again welcome President of SASCOC. President, we've welcomed everyone. We did get the report that we are struggling with the network. Welcome to this committee. I'm suspecting it's you who's going now to drive this ship of SASCOC. We'll hear from you who must do what. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Govender has forwarded the presentations to the Portfolio Committee, and he will be presenting that to the meeting.
Yes.
May I proceed, Chairperson? May I proceed, Chairperson? Thank you, President.
Yes, I give it to the President.
Yeah, thank you.
Until I take
Thank
it, then. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I just want to inquire from the Secretariat if they could present or put onto the screens my presentation that I sent through. Or do they, perhaps I can share it here. Let me have a look. No. Yes, thank you. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Madam Chair. Once again, greetings, Deputy Minister, members of the Portfolio Committee, DG's office, and my board president and board members. Madam Chair, we respect the presentation made by the DG. Unfortunately, I did not see that before now, so I'm unable to respond directly to some of the items he's presented. However, I will stick to the agenda and report back to you as per the invitation and agenda on the following 4 matters. Present to you the outcomes of our AGM that was held in November 2020. Present to you the outcomes of the quadrennial general meeting and elective conference. Update you on matters related to Chess South Africa, and provide you with resolutions that have been taken with regards to Cricket South Africa. Next slide, thank you. Chairperson, the agenda for an AGM is a very clear one and concise one in terms of the Constitution, and this AGM was held on the 7th of November. The date for the AGM was by resolution of the entire membership at its special general meeting in September 2020. There were 2 matters that were placed before the membership. The first matter is the approval and adoption of the audited annual financial statements, which was adopted by the membership. And the second was the appointment of the auditors for the forthcoming financial year. This too was adopted and resolved on. On the same day in November 2020, subsequent to the AGM, we held the QGM. And the process followed in terms of holding the QGM was as follows. Firstly, you have been informed previously that the IOC appointed a facilitator, that being the IOC honorary member, Dr. Sam Ramsamy. So he oversaw and managed the process. The process was managed and in compliance with the SASCOC constitution and by the resolutions and mandates provided by the membership at its special general meeting in September 2020. The key elements that need to be highlighted is that, firstly, prior to COVID, the QGM was diarized for March 2020, and the process to hold that elective conference had happened in terms of receiving and validated of nominations. Due to COVID, that meeting could not happen. However, all nominations that were received for that meeting in March, which was postponed, was taken into the new meeting or the re-diarized meeting in November 2020. In addition, and as resolved by the membership, additional nominations given the time period from March to September were called. These were then validated through the constitutional process of an independent nominations committee. And at the end of this process, we received a certification of results and the process followed by the independent electoral officer. I want to note here that the voting system that we used was Lumi, which is an IOC accredited service provider. The results of the QGM is before you. We had the three executives, the president, Mr. Hendricks, first vice president, Ms. Samalane, and second vice president, Dr. Debbie Alexandra. These were elected in terms of the provisions of the Constitution. In addition, we've had 5 board members that were elected by the membership. These are Mr. Alan Fritz, Mr. Kundisa Ngwenya, Ms. Ilham Groenewald, Ms. Kim Popel, and Ms. Moki Grobbelaar. In terms of the Constitution, those were the individuals that went through the elective process. I just want to add, subsequent to that, we were joined by Mr. Kotso Mokwena, who is the chairperson of the Athletes Commission, which went through its own separate elective conference. And the board, in terms of the powers vested in it and the Constitution, co-opted 2 experts, one in legal and one in finance. Ms. Mapula Mokwena is the finance expert co-opted onto the board, and Ms. Ayenda Ngobo is the legal expert co-opted onto the board. That concludes on my feedback to the portfolio committee on the QGM. As per the agenda, the next item that we are meant to give feedback on is the update on Chess SA. I will talk through the process thus far, and our board member, Ms. Kim Popel, who serves on this committee, and the COO will fill in the gaps. Firstly, we convened, emanating from the outcomes of the last portfolio committee and the agreements and principles we've had in terms of the roadmap forward. We met with both parties that represent Chess South Africa. Both parties were requested to state their positions. The actual key issue is the legal cases between the 2 parties. And the primary intention of the first meeting was to try and resolve and put to bed these legal cases so that we can open the road to move forward in a collective and constructive manner. The one group represented by Mr. Mahomele was willing to not continue with the legal case, but they pointed out they don't have authority to withdraw as the legal process was not initiated by them. The second group, represented by Mr. Du Toit, said that they would rather wait the results of the court case. However, if they were to withdraw, then they would look to Mr. Mahomele's group to pay all the legal costs, including that incurred by Mr. Du Toit's group. Clearly, the other group could not afford to pay all these legal costs, and that became a moot point during the discussions. What the meeting then resolved is rather allow the 2 groups to submit their formal positions with regards to the legal case and other matters to SASCOC. Next slide, please. Right. I think right. Thank you. So the correspondence then was received from both parties, and the department and ourselves met to discuss these correspondence and the positions of the two parties. We also engaged the department's legal expertise to provide guidance, and the view that we got is that if both parties are to continue with the case, then SASCOC and DSEC should stay independent so that they are not cited in any legal court papers on the matter and get involved in court processes. The meeting also resolved, and this is an important point because it takes us forward, that the provincial sports confederations are consulted to check the status of the chess structures in the province. And lastly, that we form a task team to manage and run the process of elections for Chess South Africa. Next slide, please. Thank you. Emanating from that discussion with DSEC and ourselves, the following milestones were realized. We connected with the Provincial Sports Council, and the status is as follows. 3 provinces have no structure, and they are the Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Mpumalanga. 6 provinces have structures. However, only 4, as listed on the slide there, submitted their governance documents. The Western Cape were only able to submit their constitutions. Okay. Based on the feedback from the provincial sports councils, it has been decided to appoint an independent company to manage the elections and develop guidelines. This independence would make it fair and procedurally correct, so that no one can then maintain that the process has been unfair. However, this company, whilst being independent, will be monitored as an oversight role by the task team. It has been further decided that the task team will comprise of 6 people in order to keep it effective and efficient, and it will have 2 representatives from each of the structures, DSEC and SASCOC. Next slide, please. The next steps in terms of Chess South Africa is to draw up the terms of reference for the task team and set this task team up to provide provincial dates for the elections. So we have a target to work to, and for DSEC and SASCOC to engage further on the possibilities of putting to bed the legal issues that presently burden the 2 parties. Madam Chair, that's the report back on chess, and I'll move on to Cricket South Africa. Madam Chair, on this past Saturday, the 8th of May, the SASCOC convened its first membership meeting for the current year, and one of the items on the agenda was Cricket South Africa. Now, without going into all the discussions that took place, the membership arrived at a set of resolutions, which resolutions are listed on the screen, and I'll read them out for clarity. First of all, the membership resolved that the autonomy of sports movement should be protected and in line with the recent UN resolutions. Secondly, SASCOC is mandated to protect its member, which is Cricket South Africa. The differences are not with the member, but with the interference by the minister. The third is that the board of SASCOC must engage with CSA to ensure that an MOI is compliant with SASCOC statutes, and there can be no exception to SASCOC, to Cricket South Africa in this regard. And lastly, the board must continue to seek dialogue. The president was very emphatic in the need for us to engage and have meaningful dialogue. And with this regard, the membership resolved that that dialogue needs to happen with the minister, the ICC, and all other stakeholders that are relevant to Cricket South Africa. Madam Chair, I can report that subsequent to these resolutions, we have now secured a time slot to engage with the Members' Council. That's this Thursday. They are meeting at 7:30, and we will join them during that time slot. Madam Chair, that's in terms of the agenda and the invitation. These are the matters that we were required to update the Portfolio Committee on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, President. If anyone from your side, or you must also direct your team to those who want to add, or if not, I will take it to myself. My
Yes,
meeting.
I think you've opened up the invitation to the members. If there are anyone that wishes to add, they can please do so. It does not look like it, Madam Chair, so let me hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, President. Honorable members, the department did put some opening remarks through the slide. And then the SASCOC presented the presentations in front of us, and we did receive. Can now give it to honorable members to engage with the presentation. I've seen Honorable Mahlingozi. Honorable Zondi. On that order.
Dennis Joseph, Chairperson, good morning. I'm still struggling with my hands up. Thank you.
Yeah. Honorable Dennis, in that order. Honorable Mahlingozi.
Thank you, Chair. We welcome the presentation from the DG and from the President of SASCOC. And I would love to pay my greetings to the whole honorable members who are in the House, and also the ministry, DM, and the whole SASCOC delegation. My question is first of all, there's word that the Tokyo Olympics could be disrupted somehow. I want to find out from the ministry of their concerns, and also from SASCOC, what is the mood about that? And another question that I have is the plan that Pfizer is wanting to be of assistance to the Olympians, so to speak. So I want to find out if there is any MOU between the Department of Health and Pfizer, and if it is, are we safe as South Africa? Because there's been news that Pfizer is bullying Latin American vaccine negotiations, wanting more than they can get. So are we safe from that? And from SASCOC, I would love to know what actually is the interference by the ministry that SASCOC is talking about, and what are the contents from the MOU that SASCOC is not happy with. I will stop from there, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlingozi. Honorable Zondi.
Thanks, Chair.
Chairperson, we welcome this report. I think we had so many questions, and we were very eager to receive it and discuss it. The portfolio comment and SASCOC. Chair, I don't have many comments except that I so wish I can get clarity on few questions. Maybe I will start from the department that given the status on the chess issue on two groups. What will be their take on the legal battle between the two groups? Because the other one is submitting that they don't have a case in the court, and the other one is saying they can only drop the case provided that the cost will be the cost incurred should be paid by the other group. I don't know. I don't know. I just want to hear from the DG Kawazela. If you want to make peace with the people, then it should cost you to make peace with the other group. I just want the department to have a bite on that, so that when we take a resolution, will be clear with a department opinion. The second one is the issue of the document requested of the structures. 6 has submitted with the remainder of the 2. Western Cape submitted only 1, which means there are other outstanding documents. And KZN, where is KZN? KZN it's nothing. They have a structure, but they've submitted and nothing. What is the problem with KZN and Western Cape in terms of compliance in submitting the documents of their structures after the outcome of their PGM? Then the last 3, Chair, on Cricket South Africa. Chairperson, yesterday we were discussing the word autonomy. Now I know where this autonomy come from. The autonomy should be protected. I just wish to know, Chair. The autonomy of sports should be protected against who? Who is threatening the autonomy of sports? The second one, I think Honorable Madlingos has asked the question of the interference. Is SASCOC clear that the minister is interfering with the affairs of SASCOC? If yes, how is the minister interfere with the affairs of SASCOC? The other question is with the protection of its members or its member. Which means TSA should be protected. I wish to know, protected against who? Who is threatening Cricket South Africa? If I can get those clarity share, I will be very, very glad. So that the way forward should be clear. But for now, I have only those a few questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Zondi. May I give it to Honorable Dennis?
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentations. I have two questions that is a little bit broader than the issues at hand on the agenda this morning, but it's in the report of the department. I read a bit wider, and my question is, if SASCOC, the SA Sports Federation and the Olympic Committee is a multi-coded sporting body, and of course it acts as the controlling body of sports. My question is, do we have any other sports bodies or sports codes that is not part of SASCOC? I just want clarity on that. And then I want to ask, I also in the presentation noted that SASCOC is responsible for awarding the national protea colors. Now, this information, the question I'm asking comes from the department, but it says there SASCOC is responsible for awarding national protea colors to athletes and officials. So my question is, who is then responsible, or which body is responsible for issuing Springbok colors? Because we have two types of colors, protea colors and Springbok colors. As a new member, I just wanted clarity on that. And then, Chairperson, I noted the 11.3 million allocated for this 2021 financial year, and of course, it's a big increase from the 9.3. Sorry, not a big increase. It's only 2 million from the 2016-17. My question is, how many? SASCOC can tell us how many members in the sports codes participate in all the bodies that they have under their umbrella. How many? Because I want to measure that increase of SASCOC's participation, increasing members on the ground as members of the sports clubs versus the 2 million increase over 5 years. Chairperson, I just wanted to make a comment on the, appreciate the comment on the task team that it was put together for the elections in Chess, South Africa. My question, just want to ask about all these legal challenges and court cases. Whose money is being used here? Is this public money come from the government and from the department, taxpayers' money, or is it private money that these boards are using against each other to fight each other over board politics and board leadership? Then I would like to ask the minister also, I would like to ask the minister, what is the department or the minister's response on SASCOC's stance on the interference and the autonomy? Because the Nicholson's report was initiated by South Africa or SASCOC in support, and not by the minister, although the ministry provided the judge. So the group who initiated this investigation had then the right to accept that recommendations in that Nicholson report, and not an outside body who was consulted. That is my view. And then the last point, Chairperson, this offer that we received, my question to the DG, I think it's slide 5. No, I'm not sure what slide now. Slide 5 was the Olympic teams criteria, the top 10 teams in the world. But my question about the Russian Olympics Committee and government to provide Sputnik vaccine. My question is, historically, there's been an issue with the Russian Sports Committee. So if the Russian government comes in and want to support that Sputnik vaccine to Africa, then I understand that. But if the Russian Olympic Committee, who has a history with the International Olympics Committee, comes in here, then there may be an agenda why they want to offer the service to us and to Africa, and I think we need to be aware of that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chair. Let me greet our colleagues, our Deputy Minister, our staff and staff from the department. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I've seen that under page number 5 from the department presentation. It speaks about that SASCOC is to present a list of athletes and teams which meet this funding condition to the department. I just want to find out when is it going to be submitted, so that maybe even the portfolio committee can be CC the document that the teams, the names or the list of the athletes and the teams, so that can they please also send it to us after they've sent it to the department. The other thing that I want to find out between the department and SASCOC is the preparation, because we can see how COVID-19 situation is increasing each and every time. When they are going to Tokyo next year, what are the preparations? Because I can see that there's a vaccine that needs to be, that they said they will be given free, but can they tell us more that they've already started the department to do engagement with the vaccine, how safe it is, and also on their own view as the department and SASCOC, how safe is it if COVID-19 continues like this to take our teams and athletes to the Olympics at Tokyo? The other thing that I want to find out is that the issue that has been asked by Honorable Madlingozi and Honorable I'm sorry, that the thing of the thing of interference of the minister. Can they brief us so that we can be clear, not just hearing that there's interference. What interference is it that is done by the minister, so that we can be clear? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malomani. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, I welcome the presentation, and it was so important for us to have the minister here. I think these are the issues that we want to discuss with him, because there are two sides of the story. And that's why it's so important for the minister to take priority to make sure that he prioritizes this committee. Sporting body, we don't know his vision as the minister. What is the vision of the minister towards sports? But nonetheless, I wanted to find out from SASCOC, has the board meet the Chairs South Africa? Has the new board meet Chairs South Africa? And I wanted to find out if yes, what was the outcome of that actual meeting and when was it? If no, when are you going to meet the Chairs South Africa? And I want to explain to Honorable Zondi, because he made a comment of autonomy. We believe sports must be independent, but adhering to the rules. I've made an example on the 30th of April that if there's a law of saying drivers must drive, you must be 18 years old. You cannot say someone must drive at 16-year-old. Now, interference comes when you are allowed to convince anyone to vote your horse if you're playing horse, but you cannot put a gun under someone to vote the way you want them to vote. We fought for the democracy. I was still at school and I fought because I was part of the SRC in Orlando East. We cannot just undermine that democracy must be played for us.
Yes.
I don't know. It looks like Honorable Mhlongo is answering for SASCOC now. I don't know. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, everyone has right to contribute. Let's wait and we'll get answers from the presenters, but honorable members can ask and say whatever will handle after every questions and after the responses from the presenters. Thank you, Honorable. Mahlenkosi.
Thank you, Chair, for protecting me. I'm not speaking on behalf of SASCOC. I was telling Honorable Zondi because the debate yesterday came with me to say we need autonomy, we need independence of sports. And I still maintain.
Honorable Mhlongo, let's not refer to answer to the members. I'm suspecting that's the problem. Just contribute.
Yeah, I'm contributing, Chair.
No,
Honorable
the questions,
said
the
yesterday.
questions, no, the questions are not asked to Honorable Mhlongo as now saying that this thing came with you yesterday. Now is today. We've got presentation from the department and SASCOC. Let's just refer anything to those presentations because they were not here yesterday.
Yeah, in future, Chair, you must tell Mr. Zondi to keep quiet of what we discussed yesterday. You did not tell Mr. Zondi to say no yesterday, it was yesterday's issue. But nonetheless, SASCOC, can you tell us, do you have any appeal from your AGM that we did not support last year? If there were any appeals? SASCOC, I'm not speaking on your behalf. Can you give us more information? Does SASCOC supports federation that should have majority independence, directors? If no, why not? To SASCOC again, can you tell us how many people attended your special meeting on Sunday? How many federations, so to say, attended your federation, your special meeting on Sunday? And I wanted to find out, these are the other questions. I'm not speaking on behalf of SASCOC. I think on the 30th, I've asked the minister, and the deputy minister will respond maybe, or the DG, that what dispute did we have between Cricket South Africa and SASCOC, or any dispute? There was no dispute. The response, if you can check even our minutes, they said there was, when the DG, not DG, the Hendricks, Mr. Hendricks responded, there was no dispute. But now what I wanted to find out on this point, can the president of SASCOC put us into his confidence? What happened to the Zoom meeting or to the Cricket South Africa first special AGM? What did the minister say on that day, on the first special AGM? And I wanted to find out that did the Nicholson Report recommended an independent chairperson to be instituted? I still repeat on that question. I've asked that question even before. And another issue, how do they plan to resolve this Cricket South Africa matter? How do you plan to resolve this issue? Given that the train has left and the station is only there and nothing has been done because you've rejected the actual MOI, and which is what action plan do you have after this? And last question, Chair, out of all the recommendations last year, not the Nicholson's report, the one that we've appointed an administrator, according to the DG's presentation, 13 outstanding. Can you give us details which 13 recommendation outstanding? And then what's the turnaround time? Are we still paying the administrator? When is the office of the administrator going to close shop? How much have we paid to date for the administrator? Because I'm using the word administrator. I remember there was an issue with the word, but to me, I still say he's an administrator. And last question, if the DG or deputy minister, when is the interim board of Cricket South Africa is going to close shop? And to date, how much have they paid? How much have you budgeted for and was paid to all interim board members? And according to what I know, was the 14th of this month still standing? Because it was the last date for them. Thank you very much, Chair, for now.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. I don't see any other hand. Can I take this opportunity to welcome the presentations? And I've just got few questions, and I'm concerned about this Zulman Commission. the commission, which was here since 2017, is 2021, was still having outstanding about 11. I'm suspecting whilst we didn't put time frames, if we are seeing in this, I don't think it's on. And maybe if I can ask the reasons why so many years not finishing this Zulman Commission thing. And then this second one, I wanted to check whether the minister, at what stage where he must implement the recommendations of Nicholson. Does he have a right to do that? If not, who's having the right, or what is the role of the minister in that? Also, I want to check with SASCOC whether do we still saying that we do have a problem of the implementation of MOI. Does the cricket still have a problem? I'm raising this because when we're here, that's what they've declared that they are going to do. And I don't know whether they were forced, and I'm suspecting they are leaders that they can think, and as we're sitting here, no one can force us as leaders of this committee. Instead, we can have engagements. Also, really, would love as this committee, by this stage, since this time, 2017 and another years, that would love to see SASCOC work together with the department. Would love that leaders, they must come together and iron out the problems if there are problems. And I don't think it does assist this thing of every now and then when we're having differences, you go all out. People of South Africa are loving people of sport. If now people who supposed to drive the transformation of sport, they are always out there showing no unity, which means we'll never achieve the transformation. And I'm suspecting both of us here, we don't want to see us failing the South Africans on transformation. So I'm pleading that whenever there are problems, if you still remember when that time of Honorable Mercy and come Honorable Kasa until now, we've asked that take these cases out of court because we don't have enough funds, both department itself and you, SASCOC. We even said that there are so many rural areas who wanted upgrades, let alone in the sport at large. If now monies are taking to take each other to court, what do we want to achieve? So I'm pleading that whatever problems that we are having, please sit down like leaders of South Africa and try not to prolong those problems. Here we have the new from the box SASCOC leadership, can you assist us to try to minimize the differences with whoever, in order that we must look at the development of sport. We must look at the transformation of sport. We cannot, if every now and then you are out there after your meetings, out there in the media, and maybe other people, they will be thinking that we don't do our oversight. I'm pleading with the leaders who are here. Thank you. I'm taking this back to you, DM, to DG through you. And then after that, I will be giving to the president of SASCOC to preside over his colleagues. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. I thought, Chair, I don't know, because the bulk of the questions are to SASCOC because they did the presentation. I had assumed that SASCOC must respond, and then the DG will come in, and then I'll come in.
Thank you, TM. I'm starting with the leader here, and then thank you. I'm taking what you are saying, President Hendricks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, even though you spoke last year, your plea for the leaders to meet, and SASCOC is committed to that. And I'll explain how many times we actually did request to meet, but in vain, to try and resolve this matter. But let's take the questions one at a time. And there are many. The first one is, what is the mood regarding Tokyo? The mood is one of responsibility, one of care, and one of security because of the COVID pandemic. But because of the negotiations between the IOC and the Japanese country, as well as the city of Tokyo, they've put all the rules and protocols in place to ensure that the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games go ahead. SASCOC will wait for their advice on the matter, and they do provide us with regular updates regarding the pandemic in Tokyo. And in fact, I think it was last week, they released what they call a rule book, which states the rules and protocols that we're going to have to follow. All countries will have to follow before we go to Tokyo, during Tokyo, and when the teams leave Tokyo as well. And those rules and protocols are very, very stringent. If I had to go, for instance, as representing SASCOC, my base would be the hotel, and I'm not allowed to travel to any tourist sites or any sites like markets or other events apart from the Olympic events to go and watch our athletes compete. And that applies not only to me, but every other person, including athletes. The moment they're done, they go back to their room and they get tested practically every day, including the officials like myself. So while the athletes are training and looking forward, and some of them are still qualifying overseas, they know that they have to follow these protocols in order for the games to be a success and to protect the Japanese public as well. With regards to the Pfizer vaccine, we did mention that the IOC have also now come to us to say that even this vaccine will be fully paid for to be issued to our athletes as well as the whole of the Team SA delegation. So in fact, yesterday I received a call from the IOC stating that we should start meeting with the senior management of Pfizer so that we can start this process of identifying our athletes. But we will do this in conjunction with the Department of Sport and the Department of Health, as we have put forward our letters to them explaining these opportunities for vaccinations to take place. And we will wait for the Department of Health's advice on the matter. I can't speak about the MOU with the Department of Health and Pfizer. I think that must be answered by the Department of Sport or the Department of Health. I think the essential question that everybody wants me to answer is what is the interference by the minister in the issue of Cricket South Africa? And we've tried to explain the following, ma'am. And I want to read from the Sports and Recreation Act, point 13.5b2, where it says, the minister may not, point 2, interfere in matters relating to the selection of teams, administration of sport, and appointment of or termination of the service of the executive members of the sports and recreation body, sports or recreation body. Now, the issue that we have here, ma'am, is that on 2 occasions, the Members' Council of Cricket South Africa met at duly constituted meetings called SGMs to deal with the matter of adopting the MOI. On the first meeting, they decided not to adopt the MOI, and specifically relating to the key points of dispute in this matter now. And that is the demand by the minister and Nicholson that the majority of board members must be independent. And then the second issue, and this is a demand solely from the minister, was that the president should be an independent person as well. Now, as I stated before, I think to this portfolio committee, in 2012, the board of SASCOC sat down with the legal team of the Department of Sport. I can't remember the person's name now. He's retired since. And they came to the conclusion that based on the autonomy of sport and the preference for civil society structures to elect their leaders, because they are so constituted, that the recommendation of the Nicholson committee, or Judge Nicholson, that the majority of board members of CSA should be independent, that was rejected then. And it was accepted then by Minister Mbalula. Now that is the policy, that policy has remained, and SASCOC's board still adheres to that policy. And at the meeting of Saturday last, the members, all the members of SASCOC who were in attendance, agreed that that policy will remain, and there were no members who disagreed with that position. Now, what we are saying is, after the first AGM, and where the Cricket South Africa members did not adopt the MOI, the minister was not happy, and then asked them to go back to find common ground. At the second SGM, the members again did not adopt the MOI. But this time the minister went further and invoked Section 13 of the Sports and Recreation Act. In other words, not recognizing Cricket South Africa as a national federation and defunding them. Now for us, that is clearly a violation of Section 13b(2), which says that the minister must not interfere in the appointment of and termination of the executive members. By invoking Section 13, which we feel was illegal or wrong, the minister effectively threatened cricket and the sponsors of cricket, and thereby the cricket board relented and adopted the resolution that there be a majority of board members and that the president must be an independent member. Now, SASCOC disagrees with that process and that sort of threatening behavior and using an act, which we believe wrongly, to get a particular election process to be adopted and for certain members of the executive to be placed on a national federations board. In that respect, Madam Chair, can I ask that the oversight function of the portfolio committee be invoked in this particular case as well? And I think the plea from SASCOC is if a focused study could take place, whether the minister in fact did flout the Sports Act, and for your committee to then provide us with advice with regarding that particular matter. That is a plea from our side, Madam, for the Portfolio Committee to investigate this and to present the findings for us and to assist us on this particular matter to understand whether we are right or wrong. The next question deals with who is threatening the autonomy. In our case, it's the minister that is threatening the autonomy of cricket by invoking the Act and by insisting that certain members of the executive or the makeup of the executive be entrenched based on his will. The question regarding the difference between the Protea and the Springbok colours, the only reason why Rugby South Africa or SARU have the emblem of the Springbok was in the era of our first President Mandela, where in the spirit of unity, it was agreed by all the members of the then National Sports Council that the rugby team only would be allowed to wear the Springbok emblem. All other national federations use the Protea emblem. And according to the Act, SASCOC is the authority that issues or recognizes colours. How many members under SASCOC? We have 89 members under SASCOC. And these 89 members benefit from SASCOC. But then we need to understand that SASCOC is just not an Olympic body. SASCOC is an Olympic body, a Paralympic body, a Commonwealth Games body, as well as a World Games body, and we are also affiliated to the International Schools Federation. So the ambit of SASCOC is quite huge and large in that we have non-Olympic sports as well as Olympic sports and Paralympic sports under our fold. The money is spent on the legal battles in chess. To our mind, that is personal legal expenses, not that of SASCOC or government. I want to correct the statement about the issue of the Russian Olympic body and their relationship with the IOC. There is no conflict between the Russian Olympic Committee and the International Olympic Committee. In fact, the Olympic body worked through the IOC and ANOCA to make available the Sputnik vaccine. And again, in this case, we will work with the department, both departments, Department of Sport and the Department of Health, to advise us with regards to the rollout of any of the vaccines that are made available. And we want to thank the IOC for making sure that all the vaccines that they have so far, including the Chinese vaccine, is made available free of charge to all the sports structures around the world. In preparations for the Olympics and Tokyo, we are engaging constantly with the department and with our national federations around the issue of safety protocols. And as I mentioned, we did receive a new playbook from the IOC and the Paralympic Committee that further enhances the safety protocols here in South Africa before we go, as well as when we are in Japan. Has the new SASCOC board met with the board of Of chess, no, we cannot recognize either of those structures as yet. And that is why we've set up a task team, including the Department of Sport and members, representatives of those structures, to work towards new elections for Chess South Africa, but also in the meantime, making sure that the provincial structures are compliant as well, so that when the body is elected, the foundation is strong. I don't understand the question regarding the appeal from the AGM. And if that can be clarified for me, please. Does SASCOC support majority independence? No, SASCOC doesn't. Sport belongs to civil society. Yes, civil society does follow the rules of the country, as well as the policies of transformation, gender equity, development of youth. But when it comes to the election of civil society structures, such as trade unions, such as other institutions that work under their own legal constitution, then it is not good for government to intervene to insist that the majority of members in leadership be independent people. It takes away the thrust of the growth of civil society and the development of leaders in civil society. How many attended the meeting on Saturday? I would like the CEO to answer that question, because we did take a roll count of who was present. Was there a dispute between SASCOC and Cricket South Africa? No, there wasn't a dispute. The reason why the matter was handed to the minister in the first place was not because of the MOI, but because of the Fundunzi report that Cricket South Africa at that stage did not wish to hand to us, but subsequently handed it to everybody on the demand of the portfolio committee. What did the minister say? I can't remember exactly what the minister said, but I can relate to the actions of the minister in invoking Section 13. No, Nicholson did not recommend an independent chair for CSA. How does SASCOC intend to resolve the matter? We intend to resolve the matter through dialogue. There is a need for independence, but there's also a need for balance and a need for respect of civil society and the way it elects its leaders or selects its leaders. And this is a dynamic that is internationally accepted. Sometimes when it's mentioned that it's good practice, it's not good practice in sport. In fact, I can only think of two structures, Cricket Australia and New Zealand Cricket, compared to the thousands of other international sports structures that don't apply this principle of majority independence. So SASCOC does have an action plan. We still think there is time to sit down with cricket and all stakeholders, as we've mentioned in our resolution, to resolve this particular matter amicably, where everybody can say they are satisfied with the governance of cricket and the structures that need to be set up in cricket to ensure that it is governed properly and to avoid the mistakes of the past. Then lastly, your questions, Chair. As I said at the beginning, I hear your plea, and you have my unconditional commitment to sit down and talk and to resolve matters in a manner that is befitting of national leadership. We are committed to the rule of law. We're committed to transformation and growth. We're committed to grassroots development as well as high performance development. We have asked to meet with the minister on 2 occasions, but on both occasions around Cricket South Africa, but on both occasions, we were told that we would meet at the minister's pleasure or when he's ready. Now, that commitment to meet all stakeholders remains on the table. Thank you, Madam Chair. If I can ask Mr. Govender to speak about the number of members who attended the session. Mr. Governor, please.
Thank you, President. Thank you for responding to the questions. We had in attendance on Saturday, the 8th of May, 66 of our membership represented out of the 89. So 66 of our members were present. They partaked both in terms of physical attendance as well. It was a hybrid meeting, physical and virtual. Thank you, President.
Thank you. And then to close from my side, Chair, the issue of the 11 million allocated to SASCOC during the financial year, it must be noted that it's not 11 million because 4 million of that goes to specific projects, such as the African Union, where we have to take that team to that particular event. So you can see, and next year the same thing will happen with the Commonwealth Games and with the Beijing Olympics, right up to Paris. Our plea is for this budget to be increased so that we can compete with countries like England, who receive 350 million pounds over 4 years to prepare their athletes. So we need a great incentive. And we also need more discussion with the National Lotteries Commission to change their policy from only giving SASCOC 5 million rand and treating SASCOC like a national federation, because our role is much bigger and responsibilities are much greater. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable members, I wanted now to check with the DM to the team. It's led by
I'm here.
DM.
I'm
Yes.
here, Chair. I'm here. I'm now going to hand over to the DG and the team. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, DM. DG. DG.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity to respond to the questions. Maybe I must start by indicating that the issue of meetings, as has been put between Minister and SASCOC, we have reported before, and we would emphasize again that the Minister have indicated that he would meet with SASCOC. The difference here, and this has been explained, was that SASCOC had handed over the matter to the Minister. And as the President of SASCOC had previously stated, the rationale behind that their problem was about legal fees, a threat that they cannot deal with. Hence, they had asked for the intervention of the Minister, referred the matter. So, Minister then had to be seized with the issue of Cricket SA and resolve that matter. That does not in any way imply unwillingness to meet with SASCOC. That impression is incorrect if it does exist anyway. And he has stated absolutely clear that he will meet with SASCOC, but he had to conclude the matter. That was a burning issue around SASCOC, around Cricket SA. Why do we say burning issue? Minister did not invite himself on the matter of Cricket SA. In fact, there were about 9 issues that required intervention. And that mandate was given then to the board, independent, the interim board. Minister also never it wasn't, and the previous ministers that have been made reference to did not invite themselves to have Nicholson investigation. It was as a consequence of governance failures and systems by sport people running sport without any independence. So the recommendations had to be implemented by the board of CSA, the members' council, not the minister. Minister oversee implementation of the recommendations by the investigation, but it must be clear to everyone. There was a reason why that investigation had to be done, and it was because of challenges there. Not because any minister who initiated the Nicholson investigation, the Zulman investigation, was doing it for the pleasure of it. So to misrepresent in one way or the other the intention and the root cause for intervention, not interference, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, for the intervention is incorrect. The basis, we must always go back to why the intervention. So, Chairperson, the issue then of how did the, if I were to just, there are specific questions that have been raised that I would have got Simpiwe and Lebukhan that I would like to first assist in terms of those. And then I will just indicate if there are gaps, Honorable Chairperson, before the Deputy Minister can then assist us where we might have left issues. But I think the issue of interference has been explained again and again, and in terms of the National Sport and Recreation Act, there are clear sections that govern the processes of intervention and the definition relating to what is interference. In this regard, Minister followed all necessary protocols to engage with parties concerned. The public outcry around lack of transformation, even by the, not just the recent young player in cricket, but also by the former great players like Makayantini, can't be ignored and downplayed by SASCOC as we are doing here, and pay lip service to transformation. When players tell you their own horrible experiences, and when the intervention is made, it's called interference. It can't be correct when the sponsors had decided to abandon in droves Cricket SA, and we continue to mislead this out as if things were fine at Cricket SA. And that then Minister threatened the sponsors. What sponsors? When sponsors were leaving, even their long-standing sponsorships were beginning to clearly leave CSA. The international reputational damage based on the number that was having over 10 overs of senior leadership in CSA. These things required to say sport by sports people can be left to run the sport to the ground, because sport does not belong to leaders. It's South Africans who own the sport. And to assist then to bring sound governance in terms of international best practices. The countries mentioned are not amateurish countries. They are one of the most successful competing countries with South Africa, both Australia and New Zealand. But that is just not the issue. South Africa, the King's Commission reports 3 and 4, talking to sound governance and the role of independence and why independence are required. So we're not just going around trying to plug and play, as they would say in technology, in terms of what is best in the best interest of the country. This came because there was a necessity to address the governance failures and systems in the sport called cricket. Now, Chairperson, the issue around the preparation of the team, the question that was asked, and the list by Honorable Maluman, as the President, and I agree with him, there is that interaction. We do get updates, and we will then, when we get that list, I'm sure it will be ready to be shared, so that then the athletes and those who accompany them, technical staff and team, doctors who are required, will be able to be part of that delegation, the whole delegation. And that leads me to the question relating to the issue of vaccination. As I had indicated, that we are engaging with the Department of Health, and I had just confirmed with them that they will give me a response latest tomorrow, that I will communicate to SASCOC on the approach to make sure that our athletes are safe by the time they travel there. So I will communicate with the acting CEO once that formal response is received from Department of Health. But they have indicated that there is an approach they will be giving us so that we assist the athletes. But I will get back to SASCOC on that, as well as the portfolio committee, once that response is formalized. The issue around the bullying by Pfizer, I'm not sure whether Deputy Minister will handle that. I'm not sure, because the issues around the vaccination are handled at the highest level, and then we get the direction on how to handle, whether it's Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer. So maybe the DM from that level might be able to respond to that matter, because I'm not aware of any bullying that in this country.
I'll take it, Richard.
Thanks. And then on the issue of the department stand on the legal matter of chairs, and the parties, Honorable Nondaba had asked, Honorable Zondi, we are saying that as the acting CEO had indicated, that if they insist on the issue of taking each other to court, then we cannot be party to that, and we will not be falling in a trap of being cited in court paper. However, we do believe that they should be able to find a resolution. This issue of someone else saying, I will withdraw the case if someone else pays for it, I'm not sure how justifiable that expectation is, because usually the initiator is then responsible for those expenses. But I think it's a matter that is being handled, and I'm sure that at the end of the day, SASCOC should be able to help resolve this matter and get the chairs back on track, so that we can allow our chess players and those who love chess to enjoy the sport instead of the court battles and the governance failure again of divisions that is facing chess. The issue of autonomy of the sport and who is threatening it. I think it's okay. The deputy minister, I think, will deal with that because it also refers to minister and how is minister interfering with SASCOC. CSA should be protected. I think DM, I will leave that also with you. How Dennis, Honorable Dennis, had raised the issue of SASCOC, but the president, I think, has answered that one about the issue of colors and the Protea vis-a-vis the Springbok, unless we did not understand the question properly. But I think that was a response provided. The issue of I think Honorable Ono Malumane, we've answered that issue of the list as well as the how safe is taking the team to Tokyo. I'm sure we are monitoring that, as the president have said, of SASCOC, and that the international bodies concerned are also providing guidance in this. We are aware that in Japan itself, I think by Monday or so, there was a report that more than 200,000 people were against that. So it's a space that we're monitoring, and of course through SASCOC, getting also update then on the state of affairs. For now, preparations are as though Tokyo will continue as it is planned. Honorable Mshongo had indicated the issue of that was not for us. I think many of the questions really were in relation to the Zulman and what are the areas that are not necessarily yet resolved. And that is, there is a breakdown of about 4 and 7 areas that have not yet been concluded. In this regard, these areas, Honorable Chairperson, 4 of them are relating to the amendments to the Sport Act, and there are 7 related to SASCOC operations, like the outstanding finalization of reports, e.g. the issue of SS Griffin and Pullinger report, the appointment of senior executives. Those are some of the areas, but the president and the executive acting CEO can either confirm that, but those are the areas we believe still need to be addressed. And then the issue of when is IEB, the interim board of cricket, ending their work? The AGM is planned for the 12th of June. So we believe that before that, they would have then ended their work, handed over the report, and that will enable the AGM also to be prepared for and finally conducted. And then there was a question on who implements recommendations. As I have indicated, Chair, when the investigations like Zulman, like Nicholson are instituted, then those recommendations have to be implemented by the entity, while the minister or the department plays the oversight role that those things get acted upon. And then I think those are the questions, the technical ones, Chairperson. If Mpiwe or Lebukhang want to come in, they can do so. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Simpiwe Lebukhang.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to honorable members and colleagues. President. This is Lebogang Opera Chairperson. I am adequately covered by the response of ATG. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lebogang. Simpiwe.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and the members, Deputy Minister, DG, and SASCOC President and SASCOC Management. Going through the list, Honorable Chairperson, I think the DG has sufficiently covered all the questions directed towards the department, unless there's something we've missed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. DM. DM, I'm giving.
I'm here, Chair. I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Chair. And I really want to thank the team, both the SASCOC team led by the President and the team of officials from the department led by the DG on the responses that they've given to the members of the portfolio committee on questions and clarities that they seek. I think I just want to reiterate, first and foremost, the fact that SASCOC and the department, they derive their relationship from the Act, which of course is that Act is the Sport and Recreation Act, Act number 110 of 1998 as amended. And obviously the last amendment was the Act number 18 of the Amendment Act of 2007. I'm raising this so that all of us, we understand that at all times, it is not just a relationship that somebody just woke up and decided to have a relationship. This relationship is governed by the Act. Now, when the president of SASCOC, for instance, talks about the Nicholson Report, that somehow he feels that some areas they're not accepting. I think we all need to understand, Chair, that if anybody, including an ordinary member of South Africa or a citizen, if at any point in time there is discomfort about a judicial report, what the next step would do is to take that report for judicial review. Now, we don't hear that SASCOC, after their unhappiness with the Nicholson Report, they have taken it for review. And maybe I would need a clarity on that from SASCOC, because if then we're gonna go back and forward about our unhappiness about a judicial report, have you taken that report for review? And I think that's one area that we must agree upon. But I also want to say that report, as in my own understanding, what minister did is to appoint a committee, which then the committee came up with recommendations, which recommendations the minister is simply trying to implement them. Now, if in the implementation process, there is unhappiness between the two parties, I want to agree wholly and fully with President of SASCOC that then there is a need of continuous interaction between the two parties. They know that their relationship is derived from an act, and that act is Act 110 of 1998. It's not you don't sit in the corner and decide that I am not going to engage another party when you know that the law forces you to do that engagement. So I thought it's important to start there. so that we all understand that none of the parties have got liberty to decide that now we are not interacting. Now, on the interference, I want to go back a bit and remind portfolio committee members that for a long time, even prior to 2020, I think late 2019, we've been seeing reports around the issue of management of cricket. And there's been events and areas that then have had to be implemented to try and deal with what was happening in the public space around the issue of cricket. And all of us, we know this, and I know at some point, members of the portfolio committee asked, what is the department doing about the state of cricket in the country? Now, there is also a report from the Eminent Persons Group, which that report was indicating the issues of transformation in certain federations, some of them being cricket and some and others being the rugby.
Yes, I'm trying.
Sorry. I got muted. I don't know who. I'm sure it's your.
No, it's.
Yeah, I know. I've just unmuted me now. No, it's fine. It's fine, Chair. Now I'm saying, so then obviously you will remember that relationship of SASCOC and the department and the minister, at the end of the day, the minister has executive authority that in the process of all this relationship, he has got a political authority to make sure that things go well. Now, the Eminent Persons Group report and all other things that have then taken place within cricket, it needed some kind of interaction and some kind of making sure that something is being done. And as I've already said, the minister then is implementing a recommendations that was accepted from the committee that was appointed after the Nicholson Report. Now, I want them to say, what is needed and what was needed is that the relationship between SASCOC and the department and the ministry at all times needs to be in such a way that probably there is agreement in how we take things forward. If there is a problem in those agreements, what do the people do that are in this relationship to make sure that the sport itself and the people of South Africa are not jeopardized because of the disagreements between this relationship? I'm quite happy about the issue of the chess South Africa, and I also would want to agree with the questions that have been asked by the members of the portfolio committee on how we take things forward here. I've listened to the report from SASCOC, and I've listened to the responses as well from the department. But the important thing is that Chess South Africa needs to go back to its former glory, and we need to make sure that the portfolio committee had asked questions before. We need now to be given them a progress report. What is the way forward, and how are we making sure that by the time we come back to this portfolio committee, both the department, the ministry, and SASCOC, we're giving progress report, not to say because the report is clear that there is supposed to be a conference that is taking place. On the issue of vaccinations, I think we need to remind members that, one, the president of South Africa has been put in as the champion of vaccines for Africa. And we also remember that there is also a COVID center for Africa where all the African countries sit and negotiate and agree on how we then take the issue of vaccinations forward and divide whatever comes from the international countries so that all African countries are covered. Now, the issue of Sputnik, obviously, will be discussed in that forum. And therefore, it is not going, from what I understand, I'm going to respond to Sputnik, Pfizer, and everything else. So the issue of Sputnik, which is a Russian vaccine, the understanding that we have is that Africa and South Africa are busy with the acceptance, because remember, a vaccine cannot come to a country unless there is agreement between the two. The agreement between Russia and South Africa is in progress. And I know for a fact that the only reason why that vaccine is not in the country right now is because there are processes of testing that vaccine to see that it meets the requirement of the African government and therefore Africa. So if then that vaccine gets accepted, of course, there wouldn't be a reason why SASCOC or Olympics or anybody else doesn't use that vaccine in the country. There is no problem of Russia and South Africa and Africa in terms of what I think it was member, I can't remember, who raised the issue of, oh yes, yeah. Yeah, Honorable Dennis, who raised the issue of the problems that Russia used to have with Olympics. That doesn't arise here. All that is being happening right now is that the health processes are taking place so that then that vaccine is approved. Once it's approved, it can be used. But the important thing is what DG has said around the issue that we have interacted with the department to make sure that our athletes, when they leave, they are covered and safe. Because look, even if we do not want to agree, the point here is that the world is trying to use vaccine as a passport, because there would be situations where when you go to a certain country, if you are not vaccinated, they would, even if they're not, they wouldn't be saying that's the reason. They wouldn't accept you. Now, what we want is that our athletes must not have that problem, because Japan could be quite happy to have them arrive there and vaccinate them. But the route to Japan might make them pass other countries, which might stop them to go because they are not vaccinated. So to be on the safe side, we are negotiating that by the time they leave to go to Tokyo, they are already vaccinated. And that's what we're committing, and that's what we think is best for our athletes and the team that is leaving. That's why that discussion between the Department of Health and the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture to make sure that the team becomes part of the prioritized groups so that by the time they leave, they are vaccinated. Now, the issue of Pfizer, we wouldn't really be privy to what is happening in the world. You will remember that South Africa has long come to the agreement with Pfizer, and Pfizer has arrived in the country. And long term, the total number of the vaccines that are coming to the country from Pfizer would be about 30 million. And that agreement is tight, and the Department of Health is busy with that. By the 17th of May, which is Monday, we are starting the phase 2 vaccine, which would be mainly Pfizer and of course the little that Johnson & Johnson has given. But I just want to assure Comrade Madlingo that whatever challenges are there, I'm sure they will be resolved at political level. But at the level of implementation, Pfizer, South Africa, Africa, there is an agreement. What then would happen is that at the negotiation level, because there are negotiating teams, both for Africa and both for South Africa, dealing with the issues of vaccines, those issues will be resolved there and be dealt with. But of course, we will be watching closely what that is. But at this point in time, it has not really encroached itself both in South Africa and Africa. Now, there is one area I just want to talk about, the issue of the funding of SASCOC, particularly in relation to the national lotteries. I don't know if members remember, before the Olympics has been postponed due to COVID, the SASCOC was here in this portfolio committee, and an issue of the national lottery arose of a fact that they used to give SASCOC 100 million, because at that time they were not treating them like a federation. They knew that they are a confederation. But that amount dropped to 5 million because SASCOC never accounted for the money that they were given by national lotteries at the time. And I think the discussion that we had at the time was that they must correct whatever then was needed to be corrected, and then we can go back and renegotiate with national lotteries to increase the allocation of SASCOC. So when President responds to the 5 million, I think he should give us a report on the progress of then what has happened. Have did they go back and correct whatever they didn't account for? And now do they want us as the department to go back and help them renegotiate that they get back the money? Because the problem that national lotteries dropped their allocation from 100 million to 5 million was the fact that they did not account. And I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but that's what was discussed in this committee. So, lastly, Chair, on the issue, I'm very happy because both the president of SASCOC says we are ready to meet with the minister anytime. We've got no issues, we are waiting. The DG says the minister has never said he's not prepared to meet with SASCOC. But at the time, it was the issue of cricket and what was implementing. But meeting SASCOC generally has never been an issue. Now, what I want then to understand is that from the meeting of Saturday that SASCOC has had, which had about 66 of their 89 federations, which then the president clears that then there's a need to meet with the minister. Has there been a communication from the SASCOC to the minister so that as this committee then we get the comfort that the minister has not responded or has ignored them? Has there been now a communication to say we need a meeting? We also, from our side, both the ministry, which is me here now, and the department, will take it up with the department and the minister to say we need to meet with SASCOC. But we are not going to go there empty-handed. We just want to understand as well, from the side of SASCOC, has there been an effort to try and say we are prepared to meet? Let's remember, some of the things that are raised can only be resolved between in that meeting that the ministry, the department, and SASCOC must meet. The portfolio committee, I think for me, the important thing is that they must reinforce the fact that that meeting must take place. And therefore, and then ask in the next meeting, did that meeting take place? Because that's your role, you're doing oversight. If these two don't meet, what are they hoping to do? Because at the end of the day, the Act has forced a relationship between them. If they want to go to divorce the ministry, the department and the SASCOC, then they must amend the Act. The Act is clear that it has made SASCOC to be alive and to be here because of the Act. And the Act manages the relationship between the department and SASCOC. So it's not about who is mightier than the other or who has got more powers than the other. We have to sit down and resolve the issues of sport in the country. Thank you very much, Chair.
Oh, DM, I'm suspecting you said a mouthful. Honorable members, with me, almost the questions are being responded to. And I will just take follow-ups I have seen the hand of Honorable Mahlingozi. Can I give you that opportunity? I've seen the hand of Honorable Zondi. In that order. Thank you. Honorable C.A. Ali.
Oh, can I go on, Chair?
Yes, Fadil.
Thank you. Thank you once again for the opportunity. After the meeting with after the meeting that the president of SASCOC didn't attend with the Cricket South Africa, what made the president of SASCOC to be in cahoots with the CSA? And again, why the change of heart after the crucial meeting of the 8th, that the president of SASCOC went to the media and present a different statement? Well, another one that I want to ask is, how many members of Cricket South Africa are with the Members Council? And have all the members of the council in agreement with the way that they have dealt with SASCOC, or be in agreement with SASCOC? I've never heard Mr. Hendricks crying foul like he's doing right now when the racial allegations of black cricket players was making rounds. I never heard him wanting to leave no stone unturned. But now he's talking about the minister is overreaching. My question is, does Mr. Hendricks expected the minister to curl up and die when the minister is pushing against the members of the sporting organization who are adamant into refusing transformation? That is the question. And there was I don't know, maybe I missed what Mr. Hendricks said, but what did you say about asking about the invoking of rights for the portfolio committee to do its oversight? If you can please repeat that. I didn't get that statement. The last one, Chair. The portfolio committee is the vanguard of sports in all its entirety. And the committee needs to be respected with its ministry. And, especially in terms of this transformation whatsoever. And my question is SASCOC and Cricket South Africa thinking that they can, self-correct themselves without having the ministry taking in charge and really directing them to that direction? That is the very good. I mean, the ministry is the executive authority, for God's sake, so it needs to be listened to. Yes, Chairperson, thank you for now.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlingozi. Honorable Zondi.
Thanks, Chair. A few issues. Chair, I hope you won't be tempted to say I should shut up on the issue of the autonomy on sport, as it was raised yesterday, because I won't, unfortunately.
To say shut up?
Yes, Chair, to say I should not raise the issue of the autonomy that as it was raised yesterday.
Yeah. News. Go on.
Kuthuka Chair. Chair, ngisho ukuthi sihlalo ungasho ukuthi ngingayikhulumi ngoba ngiyadlula bengidlula nje kuyona, ngiyadlula namanje. To say, Chair, it was raised yesterday the issue of the autonomy that must be protected, or sports autonomy that must be protected. And today it is written by an entity. I'm saying, awu, kwaze kwaqondana. Chair, I think the Honorable Deputy Minister has thrown many questions that I might have asked further. But the way she responded to these issues and the DG, I think I might be left with a few comments. In fact, three comments. The first one that I'm tempted to touch is the issue of the oversight and the absence of the minister in some of the meetings of the portfolio committee. If I leave that chair unattended, I will be very stressed outside the meeting. I'm expecting, Chair, the minister to be in all our meetings that are scheduled on Tuesdays. I'm expecting him to attend all those meetings. If he doesn't attend all those meetings, I will be very stressed, Chair, and I will raise that issue with you and the whip of the committee. But if our meetings, if we hold our meetings almost every day as we are doing, I will understand if the minister is not attending some of our meetings. For instance, today, Chair, it's Wednesday. I understand that all the cabinets in the country, except Western Cape, because I don't know in the Western Cape, all of them, they are holding a cabinet meeting every Wednesday, that I know. Now, I'm not expecting the minister to be here today, but in other days, I don't know. But on Tuesdays, if we have a meeting on Tuesday and the minister is keep on apologizing on Tuesday, then I will have a problem. But Chair, I will understand on the other days, especially on Wednesday. But because our oversight, Chair, the minister is accountable to the portfolio committee and parliament. But if the department chair is present in the meeting, I think, Chair, we are covered. The deputy minister is here, and also the DG is here, and other officials in the department. We want the department to be part of our meeting all the time. If they are part of the meeting all the time, Chair, I hope we won't be harsh on the minister's absence. I'm not the spokesperson of the minister, but I'm just explaining the issue of the oversight and our expectation as a committee. But that is my understanding of the oversight, Chair. Chair, I'm happy that SASCOC has raised has pleaded with us to investigate who is wrong on the MOI report. The deputy minister tried. In fact, she tried to explain this. But I would be very glad, Chair, if one day we will have a minister and SASCOC in the same meeting. I'm not saying, Chair, I'm not raising that we should convene a meeting between SASCOC and the minister very soon. But because the minister is always with us on a scheduled meeting. But I would like the committee to have a view again in the presence of the minister, not to say we don't understand or we don't understand or we have not understood the decision of the minister as he outlined in the last meeting we had with him and SASCOC. But because the president of SASCOC made reference on the act. Unfortunately, the act is a long document, but because he made reference to some clause in the act, I would like us to revisit so that we'll not rule, but we'll have a way forward on how the department and the minister, or how the minister and the department handled the issue of the MOI report moving forward. You know, Chair, the last one is the issue of Chess South Africa and the court case. Ukabazela hlala uyibeke kahle, bengifisa nje ukwazi uhlangothi lwabo ukuthi bamiphi. But now I can say boldly, Chair, ukuthi the conflict between the two groupings, SASCOC is condoning Dutoy's group court a case if they are there in a meeting and Dutoy's group is saying we can only withdraw from the case provided that the other group is paying for the cost of the case. And I don't get that. How can that issue be just left hanging there while SASCOC is playing oversight? If SASCOC is there as the upper body of both of them and saying nothing, and don't advise them that all what we don't want conflicts in all the entities of the of sports. Now, if we have this issue and have SASCOC playing the oversight on the issue, I don't see us getting results as soon. If we will, I will be here to see, but I don't see it happening, because SASCOC doesn't seem keen to resolve the issue. To me, maybe I might be wrong, but I see SASCOC a bias where in some of to the other group than resolving the issue on a impartial. So if you understand, I might be wrong, but ngibuka kanjalo. And as a result, I don't see it resolved too soon. Chair, but I think I'm covered. Kwamanye, I don't have a question. I think I'm covered by the responses of the SASCOC and the deputy minister. The last issue, Chair, that I hope I should touch is the difference between interference and intervention. Maybe I don't understand it, but I think people who are English is their first language, maybe they understand it well, but Yeah, I don't see the interference of the minister. I see the intervention. I see how the minister intervene on the issue. Not biased to the minister, but I see the intervention, not the interference. But if if anyone interprets the intervention as interference, hlalo okwakhe lokho, mina ngibona intervention than interference.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Siali, Honorable Mhlongo.
Thanks very much, Chair. And my apologies, I've been in and out because of the problems of connectivity. And greetings to the Deputy Minister, honorable members, and our visitors led by the President. I think I must say that in our last meeting, when we were engaging with the issue of Cricket South Africa in the presence of the Minister and SASCOC, majority of us in this committee, we said that we support the intervention of the Minister. We said we support the intervention of the Minister because we can no longer postpone the issue of transformation. And if it means, we even said that in that meeting, some of us, that if it means South Africa must be isolated from the international arena so that we deal with our domestic issues in transforming sport in this country, let it be. Because we can't continue with the status quo. We can't continue with that status quo. And I want to agree with the Honorable Madlingos that Black players, former and current, have been complaining about lack of transformation, about racial discrimination in this era when we have a democratic South Africa. And I never heard SASCOC raising a voice to that effect. Now, with the resolution of SASCOC saying they don't support the MOI, is SASCOC showing the minister and by extension the South African government a middle finger? And the report says all members of SASCOC voted against the MOI as approved by the Members' Council of Cricket South Africa. Are we saying SAFA, netball, rugby, athletics South Africa have voted against transformation? And seemingly the dispute, as I understand, and I agree with the Deputy Minister that we don't run sports through our feelings, but we are guided by the legislation. And the legislation enjoins the minister and SASCOC to have continuous discussions in the interest of sports in this country. And if the dispute is on the interpretation of legislation, I would then say we must fast track the review of that legislation, because that legislation was passed by us as parliamentarians, and we can't pass a legislation that we are unable to interpret. If the dispute is on interpretation, then we must fast track, and the department must assist this portfolio committee to assist Parliament to fast track the review of that legislation so that we're able to clear the gray areas. And when we review that legislation, it will really assist us, because currently people who are against transformation, the sporting codes, they block other people from being part of those codes because they want to continue with the status quo. Within SASCOC, there are codes that are a one-man or two-man show. I got a report that there's a code called ship sharing. And if you investigate that code, it's a one-man or a two-man show. But this code has the same voting powers as rugby, as SAFA, as netball, and so on. So I would submit, Chair, that we need to be assisted so that we fast track the review of that legislation on sport and recreation within this administration, so that we clear the gray areas. The issue of chairs, yes, it also points to lack of transformation. It's a black group against a white group, because others have been advantaged all along. They have money. Others have been disadvantaged all along. They don't have money. Now, when you say pay, you know that I'll run away because I don't have money. But when last did we discuss this in the presence of SASCOC? I think it's many months ago. And when the minister comes in and intervenes, because SASCOC is unable to resolve the issue, then we're going to say the minister is interfering. But we can't have this issue with us being unable to resolve it for more than 12 months. What's happening to chess? What's happening to chess players who are expected to take an active role and represent the country on chess and continue enjoying their game? But for as long as there is this dispute, and SASCOC is taking time to resolve it, I think even here, the minister must see whether he can't intervene to make sure that this is resolved. But we support transformation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Siabi. Honorable Mhlongo.
Thanks, Chairperson. I've noted what is happening today within the committee, and I can put it to the members that I saw it coming. That's why I wanted even the minister to come. If you can listen to me on the date of April, I'm saying right now, what is the difference between MOI and transformation? Those are two different animals. MOI is a constitution. Transformation, we want change. Now, those are two different animals. We cannot include those animals in one bucket. Now, political interference is not supported, but independence of sports, it's supported. I wanted to find out from SASCOC, you've said 89 federations were there, or how many federations were there on Sunday on your meeting? Can you give us the numbers? Did you vote? If there was show of hands, how many, did you have anyone against the decision or not? Because we read on the newspaper, it was majority supported, but can I get the actual figures? And I wanted to find out regarding the chairs. And no, not regarding the chairs, regarding the outstanding recommendation. I'm still waiting to know the 13 outstanding recommendations that are not implemented. What is the status? What are they? Can I be put into, can you remind me exactly what are those 13 recommendations? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo.
Dennis.
Honorable Dennis.
Chairperson, thank you. Just one more point that I need to clarify, which is a point for the committee to clarify. There's been a request from SASCOC President that this committee investigate whether the minister interfered or confirm whether SASCOC is taking the right line, whether they're right or wrong. So I think we just need to park that for ourselves We don't have to debate that now. I've heard what the Deputy Minister was saying and the DG and other role players and follow-up questions, but I would like us just to park that point at the end when we have opportunity as a committee to look at that. Maybe not now, but when we have an opportunity. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable members, let me even myself take the last round. As just one comrade saying, honorable members saying, yes, seen this thing coming. I can also say to the honorable members and our visitors, to me, in the last meeting where Cricket South Africa, SASCOC and the department and the minister was president in that meeting, to my surprise, it was that the problem of the interpretation of this section which we are talking about, that the minister did interfere, the minister did invoke ABC. To my surprise, I want to be open and frank. To my surprise, when Cricket South Africa was having no problem of that MOI, but the president of SASCOC was having a problem because he said minister was not supposed to invoke. And when he was trying to motivate, I've said we did give them time, 3 of them, but that day I've said it was the day for members of parliament to interrogate between themselves, 3 of themselves, because they were supposed to finalize their differences. And I'm suspecting that as a committee, we don't investigate, we oversight. One thing that I must say that we will, as this committee, try to ask the office of the minister. You know what? Ministers, they do have a leader of governance. When they are nowhere to be found in committees and wherever, a leader of government, it does have diaries of the ministers. But as this committee, because we want transformation, because this is another term. We ended the last term with the problem of SASCOC. Now this is a new term. The new executive of SASCOC, please assist us as this new committee, that we must not even come to an end of the term whilst always having some problems, serious problems with SASCOC. I don't think that the formation of SASCOC was for that. As some of us were saying that, go back, and the only thing that we are going to do is going to do an oversight in our ministry. That meeting, this meeting that we are asking, that go and iron out your misunderstanding in the invoking of whatever. But as I'm sitting here, I'm suspecting as Deputy Minister, in my notes, I was writing, whoever has problem with the Nicholson Report must take it for judicial review. But is it necessary? Is it necessary that we must do that whilst we're having leaders, these leaders who have the legislations which are guiding themselves, when they are not having the understanding? Do you think that you always, SASCOC, take each other to court, because it was about it when in the last parliament since 2017, we've said, Honorable, the former minister of this sport, was saying, you are taking each other to courts, but we have people who are still not having fields, people who doesn't have kit to play. This money, who's going to pay this taking of you to the court? So I'm raising this, that the judiciary review, it's going to involve funds and funding. Who is having pride among your leaders that you cannot sit and resolve? Because when we are calling each and everyone, we want even our good self, the intervention, the amicable solutions. People are suffering. We once said when we were getting all those emails from former cricket players saying that sometimes because we're not Labour Department, let's call cricket, and cricket must tell us, let's call SASCOC what you have done about these players, former and present players who are crying about the transformation, who have facts within themselves. Today, last time, I didn't give at the end the president to interrogate the department because they were supposed to clarify themselves outside this meeting. I even saying that since 2020, we're having this problem. They did come to us 2021, but leaders, they can't even agreeing in front of us now. What a kind of leaders are you? The other thing, I do acknowledge the date of the AGM for Cricket South Africa. It's overdue. But by this report today, no wonder if we have SASCOC still complaining about the intervention that it was done by minister, which Cricket South Africa didn't complain. We were saying that they've sat down and they've come to the agreement. But SASCOC doesn't take that. It was kind. It's telling us that they've been forced. We'll call them and tell us who forced them. Why did they said to us they've agreed after that invoking, because the premises of the department, the ministry, that they were saying, okay, we are no longer invoking that because we did come to an agreement. Now SASCOC did call meeting, and in this meeting we have seen the public statements, and we don't know what is going on. And the problem is that we have time frames, even us as committee, we do feel as if we don't do our oversight. That it's going to be second term. I don't know about the other term. That now we're still talking about SASCOC, development, transformation of sport. We can't transform sport if we've got such differences whilst there are legislations. One other thing that I've noticed, and I want to talk about it, I want to confirm and saying that really the DM is assisting us with the DG. One other time when we did get a complaint that lottery doesn't give the SASCOC. I'm suspecting they were preparing for something event, and that they were saying that they're short of money because Ulotranti doesn't want to give the money. We had to call SASCOC and Lottery. It's then that we've discovered that the accounting of 5 million was not there. So I'm saying I'm not going to talk anymore. I do plead that we must put aside our differences and our prides, thinking that we are all presenting people here. And the only thing that we can do as a committee, it's not investigating. We are going to do our oversight. Our oversight is that we'll compel that these two bodies, but our department and SASCOC, they must meet and will be talking about the timeframes, and then we'll be writing to the ministry. But the ministry is presented here. They will do that. But for the courtesy, I'm in behalf of the committee, I'll write a letter to the office of the minister saying that within 2 weeks, they must meet, SASCOC and minister. They must meet irrespective of their diaries. But this is about the nature of this problem of sport that we cannot afford. Thank you. By those words, I'm fine with the contributions, but it's not nice when we are looking at the pace, the slow pace of the transfer.
Chairperson, ayikho into ebuhlungu kuba member of parliament or noma ube leader ehamba phansi kwi-ground. La sihleli la, even imbongi wesihlalo ziyakhala. Zabesifazane abanakiwe, abaculi abanakiwe. Into ethi nje sports ayikho, bagcina ngokukhuluma. Mhlambe mangabe ngikhuluma iqiniso khona kuba buhlungu nje. Uyibona izinto eziningi, Chairperson, uyibona kubantu bohlanga ama-sports amaningi. USASCOC akasho nje ukuthi yena uyehluleka. Enye into ngijabulela nokuthi lento yokuba proud bayiphakamise. Ngeke thina simelane nabo. Into esifuna ukuyibona la ukubona izinto esikhuluma ngazo zenzeka phansi kubantu bakithi ngokusheshsha. And the Chairperson, ngeke sikuvume thina ukuba sama-rubber stamp alomnyango noma ale department engafuni ukwenza umsebenzi wawo. Phansi abantu bayafuna ukubonakala ukuthi njengoba sihleli kule department ziyenzeka yini izinto. Abaculi bayakhala. Ayikho into nje abantu abangakhali la phansi. Baze bafe kodwa mase befileke uyabona-ke sekuba ngathi bebakhulu. Bafa beshiya imindeni nabo ingenakudla ingenalutho. Kuyimanje sikhuluma nge-COVID. Abanakiwa kukho nalabo abafakelwa khona ukuthi bakhona bathuthukiswe lutho. Mina ngithi Chairperson, qhubeka kulento yenzayo, ungalokhu uncenga ngoba lana thina sisebenzela abantu la sama-politician. Asifani nabo bona abajabulela bona ukuthi bazile bazopresenta bona bayahola abanendaba. Ngiyabonga Chairperson, qhubeka lapho. Angisho ukuthi ngiyakuthanda, but kodwa you must know ukuthi njobula umele abantu base-South Africa, umele ukubona izinto esixoxa ngazo la. Indaba ye-theory yaphela kudala, sicela manje i-practical siyibone yenzeka phansi. Ngisaphinda kunabantu la phansi esifuna ukubabona bethuthukiswa. Abemvunulo abantu ubona iy'ngane zethu ihlupheka sezezangena kulo nkinga ey'nazo through lo mnyango akusizi ngalutho thina. Ngiyabonga Chairperson. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable.
Chairperson, Chairperson, I'm very sorry. I tried to get into the English translation. I'm worried that I wish that the SASCOC people could hear what was happening. So if it is not, it's a problem. Can you find out, Chairperson, please? Because what Honorable Mama Kaula was saying is very important. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, so do we have
Sorry,
translation?
Chair, it was my mistake. I was supposed to press lana. Manje ngenxa yokuthi ke phela nabo okay. Ngalongilandeni but ngiyaxosa bafethu. It was my mistake, but I can repeat if I can.
Let me
As long
talk
can
to,
allow me.
no,
Madam
no,
Chair?
mama. No, mama. Masive kumantombazana asiphetheyo apha.
But next time ngizopressa lana don't ngiyaxolisa lecture wethu.
Okay. So,
Madam Chair?
yes.
There was translation, but people have to click on the translation icon and interpretation icon and click on isiZulu when Mam Kaula is speaking isiZulu.
Okay.
Yes, Chair, I had the translation, Dennis Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. You have been answered, Honorable Maringos. I've got a hand of Honorable Mhlongo, and I don't, who's next, Honorable Mhlongo? Whose hand is this? So who's this? So
Madam Chair, I'm sure he made a mistake. Tiseso is from the media. He cannot be raising a hand.
Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Mhlongo, do you have a problem with network? Or it was an old hand?
I think it's an old hand.
Okay. Can I give it back to President of SASCOC to guide the questions?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Again, I want to reiterate SASCOC's commitment to transformation. The fact that I didn't make any statements about cricket, I think it was during the phase when I was not part of SASCOC, when those issues were being discussed. But we are willing to engage on any platform around the issue of transformation. And in fact, we will sit down with the department who is responsible for the EPG to try and create a greater awareness on the issues of transformation and as well as the measurements of transformation. We are committed to dialogue now. A few questions. Is SASCOC paying lip service around the issue of transformation? No. The Sports and Recreation Act is clear about the role of SASCOC, and we are clear what our role is as well. The Zulman Committee did state that there needs to be greater role clarification between the department and SASCOC, especially around the issue of mass participation, and I would assume it's issues of transformation as well. For now, the transformation as a project falls under the department. The department requested that a few years ago. Before that, SASCOC did have a transformation committee that dealt with those issues. But again, this issue is so important. We are willing to sit down around with federations and the department on this. Regarding the Nicholson report and the question by the Deputy Minister, and my apologies, Deputy, I did not acknowledge you earlier. My apologies for that. When the Nicholson report came out, SASCOC did sit down with the department's legal team. And as I said earlier on, what emanated from that was an agreement that that particular recommendation of Nicholson not be adopted, and that the Board of Cricket South Africa would not have a majority of independence. So that process was also before my time, but I'm informed by the person who was part of that negotiations, who was on the board, that they did sit down with the department's legal team to sort that matter out. And it was adopted again by then Minister Fikile Mbalula. On the issue of SASCOC never accounting for lotto funding, that's a very serious statement, especially in light of the fact that lottery has been giving us money over the last year or two, and in fact gave us more money now, I think 6 million. And in that, in my mind, would have shown that the SASCOC's responsibilities of reporting would have been cleared. But if that's not the case, I will gladly ask the CEO to answer on that one. But we had a meeting with the lottery yesterday to discuss funding with SASCOC. So it would be interesting to see whether we had in fact reported on past matters and whether we now are compliant with lottery. We will gladly write another letter to the minister to meet, and I will do that today because of the urgency of this matter, and we'll get our board together to set up this meeting as well, Honourable Chairperson. SASCOC has never been in cahoots with any of its members, and the discussion between the members on Saturday is a collective decision taken by the membership, the various national federations. And as the leadership elected by them, we are guided by those decisions that they take. And this was their feeling around Cricket South Africa. And they asked us then to lead on this matter by adopting those resolutions. I don't know whether I must answer the question about whether the minister must curl up and die. I would never disrespect the minister in that respect, Madam Chair. And I have all the respect for him as a person and as a minister. It doesn't mean that we can't differ on particular issues. And we are committed again to work together to try and resolve these matters amicably and with dignity. I don't know if I asked for an investigation. I think I was referring to a focus group study on this matter of the Sports and Recreation Act. And I think that was within your purview as a portfolio committee, just to help us as well understand what our roles and responsibilities are and what the rights are in relation to the Sports and Recreation Act on that particular matters. So it was more of a focus group study, Madam Chair, if I may. Can SASCOC self-correct? Any organization can correct itself if it is following a specific strategy or program of self-correction. We could not have done it without the Zulman Committee's intervention, showing up the weaknesses of SASCOC. But we are in the process of correcting it. And we would expect our other members to do the same, such as Cricket South Africa, with the proper guidance and with the proper direction. And the Portfolio Committee plays an extremely important role in this regard. And that is why we respect this committee for directing us on the Cricket South Africa matter. And in particular with the Fundunzi report, if it wasn't for this committee, we would have never seen the light of day of the full report. So it's important that we agree that organizations can self-correct.
I'm sorry, President. So whose phone is getting messages and making a lot of noise? Because if it's you, President, put it to silence. But no, I don't know what. But I know what is going on.
It's not my phone, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, President.
Thank you. So we are committed, as I said, to work with any organization to try and assist them to correct themselves, as we are doing in conjunction with the department. Is SASCOC condoning a specific group in chess? No. And we can clearly say that because we are working with the department on this matter. And together we are not favoring any party, and in fact going back to the structures, the provincial structures, to try and correct Chess South Africa from the bottom up as well. And those members are in agreement that we need to follow this process as well. So that when we do have the final elective meeting of Chess South Africa, it will be with the buy-in of its members, but also with the members having complied to the various compliancy matters that they need to fulfill. So we are working with the department. SASCOC is not doing this on its own. Madam Chair, the other question is regarding to showing the minister a rude gesture. SASCOC will never do that, and I will never condone any such activity on our behalf. As I said, we respect the minister, we respect the deputy minister, but we also respect process, and we would like to sit down and have dialogue to try and clear our differences. Regarding sheep shearing, yes, that's one of the sports that we have. Doesn't exist in all the provinces, mainly Free State, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, I think, and the Northern Cape. And we do have some world champions there. And yes, a lot of them are from a certain racial background, but they are running their organization in a democratic manner and trying to use a variety of means to develop their sport. And it's a very small sport in around the world, New Zealand, Australia, Argentina. But they are within their rights to form these structures. And they are, as a member of SASCOC, they are within their rights to vote. And just like at FIFA level, no matter how big the football federation is, like we have in Europe, it's still one vote. And that carries on through the sporting world as well, including ANOCA, including ANOC. I will ask Mr. Govender to give the exact figures of the number of people who voted, and I think it was 60 federations who was present, or 66. But if the exact figure can be given, during that voting process, as chair of the meeting, I did ask if there were any dissenting voices or anyone against it, and there were none. So it wasn't a majority. It was a unanimous decision based on the members who were present at the meeting. On regards to the outstanding recommendations of the Zulman, if I could ask the Honorable Ms. Longo if we did send a report to the department, I think last week, which we regarded as a closed out report. But if we can send that report to the portfolio committee as well, if the department doesn't mind, we won't have a problem with that. So you can see the specifics of those matters. And the real outstanding issues are the long-term issues, such as the changing of the Sports and Recreation Act and other matters, the formation of a dispute body outside of SASCOC, because this really takes up a lot of time of SASCOC, as well as the National Colours Board. Those are just some of the stuff that and of course the other issue that mentions that SASCOC and the department needs to redefine their roles and responsibilities around issues of mass participation, high performance, and the like. So if I could ask whether that be sent to you, that report be sent to you, ma'am. And lastly, Madam Chair, if we could meet tomorrow, I would appreciate it, but I know how full the minister's program is, but we're really looking forward to engaging our principal, which is the minister, on the matter of CSA. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President. The CEO, acting CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. The President has concluded on the Zulman report, so I won't add comments on that. With regards to the voting at the meeting on the 8th, yes, there were 66 of our membership represented. There was motions were put to the House by a proposer. It was seconded by a person who seconded, and the chair, being the president, called for objections, and no objections were raised. So on that basis, the resolutions were adopted, taking it as a unanimous resolution or unanimous adoption of resolution. So there was no need for individual voting. Madam Chair, the issue of Lotto, perhaps we have now, there's been some level of miscommunication. Let me correct that now. Our compliance with Lotto requirements are fully complied. Lottery will not issue 1 cent of funding unless there's full compliance by all applicants. Okay, so just yesterday, we had a meeting, the executive of SASCOC had a meeting with the executive of Lotto. The issue, Madam Chair, is that Lotto have redefined SASCOC in their rule book as a national federation, rather than it attaining the status of a macro body for sport. The discussions with Lotto have been going on for almost 2 years now to change that rule book so that SASCOC can correctly be defined, and thereafter the criteria for increased or the access to increased funding would be available. So it's an internal issue with Lotto's rule book, and we have in the past even lobbied the minister to intervene there. And those discussions are now gaining speed as lottery is also settling down with their own issues at hand. Madam Chair, I will rest there and take any further questions on the 2 items I addressed if needs be.
DM for DG, anything that the office want to add in the follow-up questions?
From our side, let me first apologize for UDG. He had to leave. I've given him permission to leave in preparation for the budget votes for tomorrow. So he's gone into a meeting for 12. But there is still another team, the rest of the team is still here. From our side, Chair, I think we're quite happy. The important thing for us is that the act must be followed to the latter, and that there is a need of a dialogue between SASCOC and the department and the ministry beyond Cricket SA. There are issues that need to be discussed beyond Cricket SA. So I'm quite happy with that, and I don't think from my side I have anything more to add, because the questions were mainly broader. For instance, Honorable Mhlongo is wanting a definition of interference versus MOI versus transformation. That's something that could be discussed at another level. And I suspect that if this meeting that we're talking about takes place, and then we come back to the portfolio committee, those are the things that needs to be clarified at that time, after that dialogue that is needed. So from my side, I don't have anything else to add. Thanks.
Thank you. President, I want to close the meeting. What do you want to say?
No, except to say thank you once again to yourself, Madam Chair, as well as the members of the Portfolio Committee.
Sorry, before Avade Konogot and Gosiam, just one. If you know President.
I'm sorry, President. You can press, I don't know what we are going to press English. There's another member who wanted to say something.
Thank you, man. I've pressed the isiZulu button.
Yes, she speaks Zulu.
I sang again. No, ngibonge.
Awusothule ke manje.
Chair. Kunezinto la upresident engifuna makazama. Yes. Lalela chairperson. Yaba kuyimanje kusamiwe ngezinto uthi but la ngaphakathi sikhuluma ngokuthi abantu sifuna nabo ukubabona bengabekwa emaceleni. Ngiyabona into engiphatha ngibuka la ama racket angapha eceleni kuka-president. But umbuzo wami uthi, why ezikoleni zabantu abamnyama singaboni president lama-activist ekhona na? Siney'ndlamu lana, sinabantu abasinayo, sinabantu abaxhensayo, asiboni even nokuthi belekelelwe ngezimali bakwazi nabo ukuthenga izimvunulo. Sinama-comment. Uyayizwa lo? And lana ingiphatha kambi le nto uma uthi uyabheka la eSouth Africa. Sinabo abantu abahlalela abamnyama, kodwa uma uthi uyababheka laba bantu bagcina ubabona ukuthi nabo bafuna ukulalela laba bantu bangaphandle. Asisho ukuthi abantu abamhlophe i-wrong into yabo. But phela nanathina kubantu bethu abamnyama okwamasiko esintu asibone nawo exhaswa.
Mam Khawula, ezinye zezinkulumo
Asiswa.
Mama, ezinkulumo zokuxhaswa ngezimali zingena apha kwi-department kakhulu ngoba
nawo imali, imvunulo yesintu iyabiza. Uyabona nje kuyaxhenswa, kuyasinwa ingoma, kudlalwa indlamu, sinamakomedi, sinayo yonke lento. And ngenhlanhla thina miwe kuphela nje yilelo ukuthi nathi sithuthukise. Ngiyabona ukuthi abantu bamakomedi hayi imali fanele ukuhlala leli committee. Ngoba even i-tennis hayi uthi ngeke abantu bakithi badlali. Kodwa manje kukhetha izikole, ingane yakho izikole ngoba iyafunda ezikoleni zabantu. Kodwa sukela ngo-1994 sathi thina sikhulekile. Kodwa uma ubona izinto asifuna ikhona. Ngiyakubonga abantu bakithi. Ngiyacela lento ngiphatha kambi ngoba I'm a part of this committee. Angibone nabantu bakithi bethuthukisa. Isebenza ayikho. Kulanike kumathalente ngoba nebafana bemnyama banawo amathalente. Abaculi bayakhala. Abanye kuyimanje bakhishwa endlini. Ngenxa yokuthi mina nabakazi. Even kubantu indaba ye-COVID abatholi lutho labantu. Ngiyacela, I'm not fighting, but ngiphatha kabi ngiyabona Chairperson.
siyakuzwa mama, siyakuzwa, sesikuzwile futhi lokho okushoyo awuqala ukusho.
Ngiyabonga.
Okay. President,
Chairperson,
Honorable, yes, Honorable.
I've raised my hand on the virtual. I thought you'll note it.
I did call you. I did call you. You're not there, and the hand was just down, and I round up the
apology. So I wanted to find out. I heard the Deputy Minister Ati have asked what is transformation. No, the department is using a barometer for transformation, and I've been questioning that you cannot have federation have set their own targets. Now you cannot attain a transformation based on that. And I usually differ with the barometer that it's used for us to attain a transformation in sports. And my question was, it's not a question. I was saying there's a difference between MOI and transformation. That is clearly, there's a difference. It's not what I'm asking. I know there's a difference between MOI and transformation. Issue that I wanted to ask the president of SASCOC, that is the last question. Mr. President, when you talk about open dialogue to resolve this SASCOC issue and CSA issue, what solution do you think it will reach us? Because your solution, will it be aligned with the position that was taken by majority of SASCOC, the issues of majority independent board, or the solution will be either outside this? Because I want to find out, you talk about dialogue, but what solution will it be? Because, or the solution will be based on your agreement as SASCOC, a special meeting on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Siabe.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just one issue. I think I agree with the Deputy Minister that the issue of transformation MOI, maybe at some stage we'll have time to discuss so that we have a common understanding. But my issue is, can I request through you, Chair, that SASCOC sends us the profile of their membership. The federations that they say they have 89 federations. Can they send us the names of those federations and their profiles for our information? Thank you, Chair.
The hands are now increasing, honorable members, but you were here when I was saying that. Now I'm closing, but I will allow you, all of you, Honorable Madlingos. Any other hand, honorable members, because I did give ODM and he round up and closing remarks. Now I was giving a president doing his closing remarks. Any other hand must be up. Now the way that I'm chairing the meeting is not the correct way, because the DM did closing remarks and honorable the president was about to. Please, honorable members, let's focus whilst we're in the meeting. I'm asking whether still hands, but I've seen only Honorable Madlingos. You are the last person on the floor. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Chairperson, I just the president didn't answer the question as to how many members of Cricket South Africa are within the Members Council. The question that I'm asking is like the power that Members Council have over cricket. So that's why I'm asking that question. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Madlingos. When we are doing your closing remarks, Honorable the President, you must say something. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to close, on the issue of cricket, I think we need to get that answer from cricket as to what their actual membership makeup is, and also interrogate the MOI and what it says around that. And we will do that homework for you, Honourable Member. Madam, the rackets that you see at the back of my at the back of me come from my days as a junior tennis, because they are old wooden tennis rackets and squash rackets. I grew up in the coloured township of Galvindale in Gqeberha, and I went through the ranks. I know what transformation is, because I was part and parcel of that process where we did not have any facilities of note, and we had to travel 8 kilometers to go and play, and then run back home to be in time before dark. So the issue of school sport, I think, is a major issue that you are referring to, and there is an MOI between a memorandum of understanding between the Minister of Sport and the Minister of Education. But I think there's a greater need for a debate around how we can resuscitate school sport, get the Wednesday leagues going within the township schools in particular, to get that going. And perhaps, Madam Deputy Minister, we can start looking at the need for a vision for sports conference and a revision of the current sports and recreation plan, so that we can then have this greater strategy about development of school sport. And SASCOC will be willing to assist in that regard with its federations. Madam Chair, I think to close on the cricket one, the board of SASCOC thinks it has a solution that will be amicable and agreeable to all parties. It will satisfy SASCOC's a need for members to be elected in a democratic manner, but it will also allow for more independence to come on board. But we need to do this with the minister, with the members of Cricket South Africa, and with the interim board. We firmly believe in our hearts that we have a workable solution. We simply need to sit down and talk it through. And that's all we're asking for on that particular matter. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, President of SASCOC. Thank you, DM. Thank you to all members of Parliament. Thank you to the administrators of both the ministry, of our committee, your administrators, because when we are calling anyone, all those people, they will be making sure that documents are ready, preparing. So thank you so much, hoping for the best. Honorable members, Minister, President, the meeting is closed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, siyabonga, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson.
Siyabonga.
Umkhonzelo ekunokhuza lapho kumafu.
Ngiyabonga ma.
Khona uyakubona.
Dokotela wami lo angivusa ngifile eParliament.
Siyabonga mama, masambeni siyolungiselela ungena eParliament.
Deputy Minister.
I'm here,
Unjani ma'am?
Ikhona kunjani?
Ngikhona. No, you are my minister. You always here. We appreciate your presence. Thank you very much.
Ngiyabonga honorable member, kodwa ke ndisengu-deputy minister. Ungayenzi.
I mean, if bengaba ku-deployment team, bozoba minister.
Ngiyabonga.
Manje
Thanks
angikho
for the
deployment.
Thanks for the confidence.
Wazi kahle kade ngangisho kuyena umthandazo wami.
Bye.
Umthandazo wami lo wada ngimfisela.